Welcome everybody to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. I'm your host, Jeremy Jackson, and I have a very special guest, a young lady I met at the cookout, actually, when we first ran into each other, and we had a very brief conversation. But it was kind of, when you came up to me, it was almost like you were very intentional about walking up to me and saying nice words that you said to me. And I told her before the camera started rolling, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to bring her on for an interview. So I'm glad you're here today. Miss Genesis Monet, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. So, let's just get right into it. Of course, the podcast is Meet Me in Napa. You're here in the Napa Valley. You are my first Latino guest, and I'm glad we had the conversation. I wanted to make sure that I had as many Latino representation on my show, because you guys are the heart and backbone of Napa Valley. And there's not a restaurant you can go to, a winery, a place of service, a place of financial business. Let's not just relegate them to like labor. There's financial services, there's creators, there's all kind of, in the Latino community is all through Napa Valley. So, I couldn't do it without you. So thank you for coming. And so.
No, thank you. I just have to say thanks for having me. And also thanks for saying that, because that's it's just we are such a huge part of Napa Valley, and not everybody sees that. So I really appreciate you just even saying it is a big deal to me.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your journey? Are you from Napa? Did you move here from somewhere else? Like, what's your journey in the Valley to come to Napa?
Yeah. So actually, before I moved to Napa, I had never been here. Okay. I moved here about 6 years ago, or like a few months before COVID.
Oh, okay.
And I actually moved over from France, but I'm originally from the East Coast, Florida and New York. And I had moved from New York to Paris to do my MBA, because it was actually cheaper and shorter to do abroad than it was here. And
there's a lot of things cheaper in Europe than whatever.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like, why not? Went to do my MBA over there, then very stereotypically met my now husband. Ended up living over there for almost 4 years.
Okay.
But then I was working on some film projects, wanted to come back to the U.S. And then my husband, he's worked like pretty much his whole career in Champagne.
Okay.
And so he got a job in wine. So naturally that brought us to Napa Valley.
Yeah. So his job is here in Napa.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, he's with a different company now, but yeah, it was in Napa in the wine industry.
Okay. So were you always into wine when you were over there in France, or were you just did it ramp up once you met your husband?
Yeah. So actually, because of like my background and my family, I didn't know anything about wine, was not a wine drinker. Mm. I kind of actually even stayed away from it, because also I just felt like society with wine, it was like kind of a pretentious thing. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like I couldn't get into it, because it's like, if you don't know anything about it, just like shut up. You're going to look stupid or whatever. And so I just, was not a wine drinker. But then I moved to France, and it just like slaps you in the face. I was like in one of our first classes, and of course it was my husband, was actually pouring champagne for everybody in the middle of like class. Yeah. And I was like,
I need to go to that school.
Yeah. I was just like, what is happening? And so, they have it at every meal. We were, having wine at lunch with our professors. Mm-hmm. And so you couldn't escape it. And then like, it just like doubled down with my husband being in the wine industry, right, in the champagne. So that's when I started to learn about it. And I was like, wow, this is such a beautiful art.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And so that's what ignited my passion for wine. And I just am kind of like, still to this day, like, oh, everybody should know about this, you know? And so part of the stuff like I do with my content work is just like, anybody should be open, feel comfortable to get into wine if they want, to try wine, to, we don't have to worry about all this terminology and, all of this kind of just industry stuff. Like, all it comes down to is, do you like it or not?
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
So.
So you said you were studying your MBA over there, and then you came to Napa. So would you come to Napa like 2020 or 2019?
2019.
2019?
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, no one knew what we were in store for the next year. So you came to Napa. Your husband's working for a wine company, but what were you doing in your professional career?
Yeah, so I was working on 2 feature film projects at the time. One was about the student loan crisis and how it's a bubble that's going to burst. Mm-hmm. And I actually we got married we stopped in New York. On the way from France to our move to Napa, we stopped in New York to get married. And because it was like the central point for everyone to fly over. And I also kind of scheduled it around the film project that I was working on, because I was interviewing a guy from Lehman Brothers, who basically spoke about the similarities
from the 08. From the 08 crash?
Yes. The student loan crisis now and its bubble. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't finish that one, but I was working on another one about Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico, and the migration of Puerto Ricans from the island to the mainland, and kind of everything that surrounded that, how they were kind of essentially left for dead by local and federal government officials, including their President Trump, and everything that they then faced on the mainland as well, because, there were some people that were left homeless because they lost their home on the island, but then had no place to go when they came here. And so the story is really about how the local community came together for these people when nobody else did.
Wow. That's amazing. So give me a little bit of backdrop about how did you fall in love with filmmaking? Like, what was the spark for you? Because you say you were getting your MBA. So were you doing that with intention the whole time to use that skill set for like funding projects and stuff? Or did you find love while you were doing it and you just completed it? Like, where did that start for you?
Yeah. So I have so many different interests, so many different things in my professional background. But at some point, originally I studied political science and English literature, because I consider myself a writer first and foremost over anything else. And I originally wanted to go into politics and change the world.
We could have used you.
Then, well, I graduated from university with my bachelor's, and I wanted to, go into politics, and then I realized that it was very corrupt, and at that time, very, very unwelcoming for a young Latina. So, it was kind of a heartbreak thing for me to realize this. But then I was like, I'm determined. I have to make some change in this world. So how am I going to do that? I've always had a passion for film, and I think it's the most powerful vehicle for change. So that's when I pivoted and started writing my own projects and also doing some acting in New York. And I felt like both of those things kind of helped me. I always say, like, on each side of the camera lens, like, the writing helped me with the acting,
Right.
acting helped me with writing.
Right.
And so, but eventually I felt like I wanted just more knowledge. I was starting my own business in production, and that's what led me to do my MBA, is just wanting to know more, just kind of like everything else that I do. And so, yeah. Sorry.
That's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. So let me ask you this: what's one of your favorite movies growing up?
Oh gosh, that is a really.
And we're gonna get back
Tough
to we're gonna get
question.
back to the the stuff you're doing in Napa. But I just because when people are in the arts, I always feel like there's something that sparks. Like for me, people say, "Oh, you speak so naturally," but I grew up in church, so I've always watched preachers preaching, and I've always been enamored with public speaking. And so that was kind of like my spark into wanting to. I would read speeches growing up. I would watch videos. I would watch, So that was like my thing. So was there something in particular? Is there a movie? Is there a director? Is there anybody in the film world or arts that really inspired you?
Gosh, that's always such a hard question
Yeah,
because it's if I feel it's impossible to answer because I have so many,
of course. Yeah.
But yeah, even growing up, I felt like every single thing I watched led me to a new world, a new universe, and I'm from kind of a small town, and my family. I also grew up in church,
Yeah. Okay.
and so I lived a very like sheltered life, and it was through film that allowed me to know that there was a much larger world out there, and kind of made me feel like anything is possible. And I didn't, want the constraints of like my upbringing to to hold me back essentially. And so that's why it's hard to answer, because I just feel like I was just enamored just by just everything I saw on TV.
I think it's funny now that you're saying that. I kind of feel like I'd never thought about it that way, but that's kind of like what it was for me. That was an outlet to see things that I wasn't able to see. You know what I mean? So we're here in Napa. You're doing your thing. What is the organization? I know you spoke before you got on camera about a board that you're with. That does community work here in Napa. What's the name of it, and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so I am very honored to serve on the board of Puertas Abiertas. It is the main nonprofit here in Napa that serves the Latino community, and the organization has been around for 20 years.
Okay.
But sorry, your question?
Just with the organization, what do they do in the community? I know it's
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Please
It's okay.
chop that. So really, there's so many different programs, but some of the ones are mental health services, financial literacy classes, immigration help, food distribution, of course, basically any of the main needs. But also, if you walk into the office, if somebody walks into the office, it's like, oh, I need help learning how to use my smartphone or paying a bill, or absolutely anything. We welcome you with open arms. And so the staff is really great. It's a small staff, but bilingual, bicultural staff, some who have actually previously experienced the organization as a client. So all that to say is that it's just a really great staff who understands the needs of the community.
So you touched on the immigration part. I would assume that right now that's probably a big help and a big issue dealing with the Latino community, with all the immigration stuff that's happening throughout the states, but specifically in California. What do you? How can people help, and what's a need that you think that needs to be filled, or how do I want to word it? I guess how do you feel like with that organization, with what's happening with the climate politically, is helping the community, and what can people do to help the program that you're in?
Well, what people can do is donate, of course.
Okay.
That's always helpful to, allow us to keep doing all of the programs that we do. So to answer your question specifically about immigration, yes, it's a really critical time right now, but it has always been for this community. And so we actually work in conjunction with the IIBA, because we don't have any lawyers or anything in office. So we work in conjunction with them. But what Puertas does that's really great in that is really much more important to today's times in regards to immigration is the mental health services, like the stress that this community is facing right now, including myself, because, as a Latina, I understand. And actually, I never would have imagined that the country that I was born in, that I've lived almost my entire life in, that I would have to feel scared every single day. And I have to tell you that I carry my passport with me now because I am just terrified of, something happening. And so I, even saying that, like, yeah, I carry my passport right now, like, rights aren't, not really even a thing. So it's like, is it going to be enough?
Back in the day.
Yeah. So it's like, is it going to be enough? And at the same time, I know that I'm one of the lucky ones.
Right.
I'm a U.S. citizen.
Right.
And so if I'm telling you this and I'm feeling this, imagine what someone else in the community who, doesn't have those things can feel. Right. And so, or like doesn't have the resources, or just, there's so many different stories and so many different things. And it's a really, really, really scary time right now. So that's kind of what that's main goal in terms of all of that. Because we also work with a coalition that was made after the inauguration, or in response to the new administration, a coalition of nonprofits that have gotten together. And so everybody kind of has their own domain as to what they're taking care of or attacking.
Right. So what are conversations like now with maybe family members and people in the Latino community today, as opposed to it was, years before? Like, for instance, I would say, growing up in America, you're Black, you had big, there was like the LA riots, right? You had Rodney King. You had these things that sparked debate and conversation at the dinner table and amongst your community, right? What are the type of conversations that are being held amongst the Latino community right now, whether it be your immediate, whether it be coworkers or professionals of the sort? Like, what are you guys feeling? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I think it's mostly the fear.
Okay.
It's, like, how can you function? How can we do anything? How can, I gave you my perspective, but like, just going back again to our clientele and, like, for example, Harvest. Harvest is starting. And, you have people that are scared to go to work. And so I think, yeah, it's mainly the fear. Yeah. But also a lot, the anger. Yeah. I think that there has always, and I'm sure you can, understand that there's always been this type of discrimination and racism. And it's kind of at the forefront now, so everything is exacerbated. Yeah. But, yeah.
Do you feel supported by Napa, the community?
I would say yes. I actually recently put on an event at the Culinary Institute of America called By Their Side. Okay. Specifically to kind of unite the community and... Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. So the event was called By Their Side.
Okay.
And so what I wanted was really everybody in the community, but also like the industry leaders, like winery owners, chefs, hoteliers, elected officials, kind of everybody in the community that is seen as a leader, to show solidarity during this really critical time. And so I was, very pleasantly surprised, and also, like, just from the bottom of my heart, just so happy that everybody came out. And and they weren't afraid to show their solidarity by coming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I would even think, just even, I think about talking to my grandmother, and when I was a kid, and she'd be telling me stories about the 30s and the 40s growing up in Texas, right? And, the fears and the different things. I just remember these kind of stories around the table. And so it's kind of disheartening to think that in 2025, you got to have these conversations with your kids, or with, your nieces and nephews who are young, and they might not be able to understand fully what's going on. And so it's just a disheartening thing. And it's even kind of interesting too, because it's like, I see this happening, and at the same time, I don't walk around with the fear. Right. But it's right at my front door. Right. But I'm also aware also too, that you can't remain silent on these things, because if you allow them to come for someone else, then you'll be next. And
Right.
so I just want to let you know that, and of course, when this goes out to the world, that I stand and I support. I stand with, the community, but I stand with the progress of America to become a really, truly, one nation, not this division, and not this nation only for these kind of people, or if you're wealthy, or if you whatever the right race, or if you have the right money, but really a nation for everyone. And so, and I think it behooves us, even, and I might be stepping on toes, but there's a lot of conversations going back to when I asked you about conversations. There's a division on, should we support, should we help? Because when we were struggling, were they helping us? And I think this is one of those times that we need to put those arguments aside and understand that this is bigger than just it's happening to them. It's happening to a fellow citizen. It's happening to a brother. It's happening to a sister. And so I'm just making my stance clear, my word, and I can't speak for everyone. I don't speak for the Black community. I speak for Jeremy, and that's just where I stand. So I just wanted to just kind of say that and share that with you, and just let you know that that's how I feel.
I appreciate that. I feel like one of the most important things is to feel comfortable in the spaces that we're in. And so I appreciate you saying that, and making me feel comfortable, and obviously anybody else who sees this.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about, like, what are some things that you just that you're passionate about. Of course, I know about the nonprofit, but what are some other things? What are some future projects that you're working on, or past projects that you've done that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So I I was working on a film for the past year about the transformation of El Salvador from being the most dangerous country in the world with the highest murder rate for a very long time to the safest country in Latin America right now, under its new president. And so I actually have my family that lives there, my father and my brother. And I recently went and saw the change firsthand. And so I decided this would be a wonderful story to tell. But recently, due to recent events between their president and our president, my co-producer and I decided to stop production on the film. Apart from that, I'm working on a few wine and culture stuff, kind of pivoting a little bit from political documentary, which is what I've been doing, to other scripted or other documentary projects.
Okay. All right. And it's all
Sorry,
centered
that was
around.
very
No, it's okay.
dry,
Is it
I
all
feel.
centered around wine, or is it centered around? It's like, is it more like about real life? Is it more just fun stuff, or like what's your vision?
Yeah. So one of the projects that I'm working on is specifically, it's kind of the stuff we touched on before. It's about wine and like the BIPOC community, Latino community, and feeling comfortable talking about this, drinking wine, being in these spaces, and also different topics that affect us differently. For example, like mental health. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it sounds like we had similar upbringing, but like I was raised in like a household that was like, if you see a therapist, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Just go to God with
Just
it.
go to God with it.
Like that's all you need.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, that's not all I need,
Yeah.
And so I just kind of want to break the barriers, just not only with wine and everything that I feel we've done in this industry, but in so many other different topics.
Were
that affect
you?
us,
Was it Catholicism or like Baptist or what was it?
Pentecostal?
Pentecostal? Oh man. Oh man.
Yes.
So yeah, I know.
Very
So
traumatizing.
it's interesting. And the reason why I reacted that way, I was just thinking like I just never seen a lot of like Latino Pentecostal.
Really?
Until social media and YouTube, then I would see
Okay.
it online, but I didn't know any personally, right?
Okay.
They were most like Catholic, right? So you grew up with the whole speaking in tongues and the whole the whole.
I
nine.
mean, like very, very, like very severe.
Yeah.
I say now that I was like raised in a cult because that's how I feel it is. And I mean, honestly, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I talked about it. There's a episode I did with my wife. We did another one, and I talked about my religious kind of upbringing, and so that's going to be pretty interesting when you see it. But that's one of the things that was like for me. I didn't feel like I was in a cult. We were like Baptists. It wasn't as strenuous, but there were a lot of things that just I had to unlearn for myself, right? And I always tell people today, like, I love God, but I hate religion. I don't do religion.
Same.
And I know that, by the time this goes out, they've already seen my other episodes. So I've had the phone calls and the conversations already, right? Because there's a lot of people I love dearly, from my parents to just people that I know personally who still, practice. They still go do the church. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not against, I'm like, do your thing. This is just my journey, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, there was just a lot of that where it just, as I got older, there's a story I learned about in church one time. His name is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was not a theologian. What do you call it? He was like a professor or whatever, and he was around. I think it was around the Nazi time, right? And he went to go study to disprove Christianity, and through his studying, he became a believer, right? And so this was interesting. So he started being an evangelist, and he was doing all this stuff, and he was going around and he was helping people in the Nazi era time. But I kind of had the opposite. I grew up in it, and I was trying to affirm my faith, and as I got older, it made me like disbelieve a lot of stuff that I thought I was believing in. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I actually had the opposite effect on me. But interesting enough, I think that what I'm doing now, because I always thought that I'd be like a preacher. I always thought I would be. But now what I'm doing is I'm doing my ministry now. This is what I do, right? This is what I love to do. But I thought that if I didn't do it in the vein of this religion, faith, then it was all out of God's will.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I understand there is that mental health, and there's a mental health side that comes with that. There's a lot of people that I've talked to who've had the same story, and we all kind of feel the same exact way, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's interesting.
I've always said if I could go back to school and do whatever, I would love to do a PhD and study like not the balance, but the effect of happiness in terms of religion, because of all this, like, kind of everything is made to like make you feel guilty if it's not in this box of religion. So anyway, but that's just
that'd be a good one. It'd be a good one. Well, thank you for coming today. I'm really, really glad that you came. Thank you for just having this conversation. I think that this is going to be very impactful. I think that people are going to not only want to hear, but I think we're going to probably get a lot of response, because people are haters, right? And so the haters are gonna come out, and we love, please, haters, please come leave comments. We love the hate. It boosts up the numbers. No, but not to be funny. But is there anything else that you want to share, that you want to leave with the people before we wrap the conversation up?
Not really. I mean, I still, I talked about this event that I did. I still want to see more in the community, more from these businesses, more from everyone, to show that they're on our side, to make me feel comfortable where I go. Just more.
Mm-hmm. I would say to that, a part of the fear that you feel is probably the same fear that other people feel if they do step out, in public, against things. So I do understand that. And so,
but there's like so many things that, they can do.
Yeah. True.
And I don't know, just
not making an excuse for him, but I was just
no, I know. I'm just saying that, again, we spoke about the box of religion, but there's maybe also a box of what people feel like. You don't need to protest. You don't need to be on the street protesting per se. I mean, very much welcome that, but just maybe inviting us to these spaces, or helping out the organization like Puertas, just so many different things. Even I'm thinking about my content work. There's certainly places I haven't felt welcome here in Napa. So, so many different things, so many different ways people can help.
Okay. What's the organization? Where can they find it at?
puertasabiertasnapa.org.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you for coming. I so appreciate it. Thank you for this conversation. And thank you to my Meet Me in Napa people who watch and support. Please like, comment, share. Please just keep supporting. Please send in your words of encouragement, your DMs, everything. It means a lot. It means a lot. And I hope to continue to bring great people and great stories to Napa Valley. And we'll see you on the next one.